Where are you guys at today?
I'm processing.
You're processing.
Yeah, we had a bit of a heated moment on the way over here. And
Okay.
it wasn't full blown like, well, on Chantel's part, I felt like she didn't do what I expected her to do, which is react to me. So that was different. And I really felt like I needed to convey this to her. It started to come out in anger, but then ended up in a plea for her to, it was my attempt to turn towards her in the middle of pushing her away. Does that make sense? Like I started conflict. And I knew it was going to be something that she would react to. I actually expected her to react a certain way, and she didn't. And that kind of spooked me.
Yeah, shocked him, huh? Way to go.
And so, and I think, in kind of reflecting on our time here, I think we have developed tools both consciously and unconsciously.
Okay.
And some of them come into play when we're in the moment. And then some of them come into play when we actually think about it and say, wow, this could have worked here, but I don't know now because I didn't think of it in the moment.
Right.
And so, I feel like we're more aware of our argument. We still argue, but we just argue differently now.
Okay.
And we still have the same issues and disputes or whatever, but I feel like they feel differently to me. They don't feel like I can actually work through in my mind that it's not because I'm extreme. I'll panic and feel like I need to get some resolution to this right now. I feel like I have the capacity to actually go through some kind of mental checks, or I'm able to fill out a situation and feel different about it, as opposed to like it's the end type of deal. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you want to share your perspective? You haven't said a word since the car, and since we was driving over.
Well, I agreed with you.
Did you? I felt that, but I wasn't sure of it. I felt like she's actually listening. She's listening.
And so I just didn't know what to think about in agreement or how to deal with it. I didn't know how to fix it. So I just sat in it. I'm still sitting in it. I'm extremely distracted. I'm not present in 90% of my day. I don't know.
That was my beef.
I sat there and I wondered how many other people felt that way that I'm around. Friends, kids, you. And then when you said it's becoming very lonely being your husband. I sat in that for a long time. I've been sitting in that one predominantly. Because it's like, I'm not aware of this. I'm not, there's something that doesn't seem to turn on in me to think that it's that severe, that it's gotten that bad. And so that I'm afraid that I've found myself at that place where one of the spouse doesn't realize things have gone too far. They thought they were happy. They thought we were happy, rather. And then you find out the other person isn't, and you don't know. I don't know how to fix that. So just kind of sat in it. Trying to figure out what I can do. Figure out where I'm at, I guess.
You know what I could have used in that time? Or maybe what I was hoping that you would say is just acknowledge it and say, wow, I'm sorry you feel that way. I didn't realize you felt that way.
Expletatives make it really hard.
Huh?
So your expletives make it really hard to do that. I did try to grab your hand.
Like, blah, 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 what?
You were cursing like a trucker. I was really taken aback.
No, I cursed when I first started, but if you notice,
Well, after that, that's all I heard.
I changed my tone halfway through.
I didn't notice you changed your tone. The plea that you said you made, I didn't receive as a plea. I thought it was more final than respond to it. It was more like, this is how I feel. Now you know.
So the anger was the reaction from you being on your text and you not, when we drive places, it's good to, it feels like we connect when we start talking, and I'll usually ask questions or I'll even make comments to see what your opinion is on them. And when you're not present, you're on your text. And for me, that this morning, it just kind of built up because you've been doing it a lot. And it seems like in the times that we should be connecting, you're on your text. And then even when you said, oh, it's for my job, at that point, I didn't even care.
Which was ironic.
Exactly. Because that was opposite, right? You would have normally expected me to agree with it at that point, right?
Well, not even that. I think I've been frustrated because I've been feeling like dictated. And so when you said, get off your text, my response was, you're telling me what to do again, or telling me how to do something again. And this is for work. So it's the last thing you should be worried about right now, responding to a client over something that's slightly important. But because of the way you addressed the issue, I immediately thought back to all the different, like you said, when you got mad because this has been building up. I too have been having my little pressure points pushed with you telling me from last night was where it started for me. Was when I told you I was going on Saturday morning, and I'm thinking there is no way to present me going anywhere to you.
I don't think that's true. I think you prepare yourself for the worst.
Okay,
so
stop a moment. Let me fine tune this a moment. Remember.
Focus on you.
Focus on you. Good. Describe you, not her. Either one of you. All right? Go for it.
All right. So whenever you say I'm gonna go someplace, you usually say it, and the way it makes me feel is that you're just telling me.
Wait a minute. That's not a feeling.
The way it makes me feel is left out.
There you are.
And not included in your decision making.
Okay.
Good.
And most of it is just, it's more of an acknowledgement that I'm a part of something that you're doing. Because you do stuff all the time, and I feel left out.
I do stuff all the time.
Yeah, like hide and go seek.
Like I was work.
I know. I'm just saying, I just want to feel included.
I can understand that, and our lives are very, very intertwined, and so when it comes to like going out with a girlfriend, it's difficult to find a way to include you in that.
No, so it has nothing to do with, I don't want to go. I mean, it doesn't sound remotely interesting to me to go out, but what I would like you to do, what I need you to do is say, what are you doing on Saturday? If you're not doing anything, I would like to spend some time with my girlfriend, or whatever, and then I would say, oh, okay, cool.
It's a very tedious, lengthy.
I'm telling you what I need. If you can't fulfill that, then you should say that.
That's going to be difficult for me to remember to say every time I want to go somewhere.
Well, not to say, but to somehow include me in your decision making. because I feel left out. Because, well, it's hard for me to say it without
You're right, it is.
judging her.
That's right. It is a challenge.
Because that's how I feel. I feel
But
like that's my
stay-
response.
Yeah, that's right. So stay out of judgment. It's absolutely crucial that you do that, Paul, to keep this on the right track. And I know it's hard because it's such a routine for you. Stay out of judgment, though. So just focus on your feelings. You're doing really well.
Yeah, this isn't natural though.
My action,
No, of course it isn't.
by letting you, when I try to let you know, and like before, I was, like you said, I prepared myself for the worst, for you to always say no. So I couldn't figure out how to ask. I couldn't figure out if I should ask in a roundabout way, ask directly. I've tried everything.
Yeah, roundabout
now-
way doesn't work for me. I need
So
to be
now
direct.
I try to let you know way in advance, a couple days in advance, put it on the calendar. But yet still, even when I told you about Wesleyan's thing, I told you like 2 weeks in advance.
What's thing?
Wesleyan's mom's surgery. I told you if your mom was going into surgery, I needed to be there for
You
her.
know, the way you bring it up is by the way. It's not, you bring it up in such a subtle and indirect manner that I completely forget every time you say it. And I think that you're trying to skate along.
Good. Good. You caught yourself.
Yeah, but I want to say it, and I'm going to say it after I leave here. No, I'm playing. I
Hope
was
not.
just joking. I feel tongue-tied when I stopped like that.
I know. So, let's pause for just a moment, okay? Because we're focusing on, the content of what you're saying, but we're also trying to really fine-tune the process of how you talk about it. And the reason it doesn't feel natural, Paul, is because you've got, kind of carved into your mental tracks here your normal way of presenting, which feels natural, and that's the judgment, the critical way that you grew up with, right? Sure. So, of course, that's going to be the natural one for you. That's the one you always will revert back to. And what we're trying to help you learn is something new, and so something new is always going to feel artificial because it's not what you've done before.
Yeah.
So here's, in terms of where you get stuck.
It's moving me to a place that I don't think I'm comfortable with going there first. And that's the place of vulnerability.
Yes.
And I don't think I ever would be, I wouldn't start off with just sharing on that level that fast, because that doesn't feel natural. And so I feel like I need to build up to it. I don't know if I do that consciously or unconsciously, though, if I build up to it.
I think the trick, Paul, I really understand what you're saying is you feel the need to kind of ease into it because it's such a difficult thing to do. The problem, and I think this is what you're describing, Chantel, is that the way you ease into it is typically through some judgment first, or anger, or cursing, in this case, more extreme, I guess. That's how you ease into it, and the problem is that method of easing into it shuts you down, Chantel, and makes it much more difficult for you to listen. And so the challenge is to try to start, and I know that's really hard, but to try to start in a vulnerable place. And a different way of easing into it, here's a different way of easing into it, Paul. It would look like this. Chantel, I've got some stuff I really want to talk about that is really hard because it involves some pretty touchy feelings for me. They're pretty hard to talk about, but I'm going to try. So you kind of started off that way. I've got something to talk about with you. It's really hard for me to do this. Bear with me. That kind of creates a setting for you to begin to talk in a more vulnerable way. What I'm noticing is that you're working really hard to do that here, and I see loads of improvement. It's really great. What I'm also hearing beneath the surface is a dynamic in which there's a past history of, Chantel, you wanting to do some activities that meet some needs of yours, like spending time with your girlfriends. That's important to you. Wanting to do that, but also being afraid that Paul will be upset by your decision to do that, and thus not knowing how to bring it up with him because you don't want to upset him. You don't want to have to deal with the anger that he might feel, right? And I'm sure it probably triggers old stuff for you around you're not entitled to have any of your own needs met. You have to ask permission in order to do anything that you want to do. You know, that old feeling of yours. And as you pointed out, you know, he's going to say no. Well, he's going to say no, meaning what? That he's your parent? Or what? You know, I mean, it kind of feels that way when you express that fear, like he is a parent of yours. So here's our dilemma right here. Paul, you want to be included. Well, there's lots of ways of being included in decision making. At the same time, you want the right to meet your own needs without having to ask permission, right? And there's a history of feeling punished when you try to do so in the past. Not necessarily by Paul, maybe a bit, but certainly earlier than that. Okay. So let me give you, this is bringing up some feelings for you. Can you share with Paul what those feelings are? I want you to try. Say again?
Trapped.
Trapped?
Powerless.
Uh-huh.
Infantile. Dependent.
What was the last one? Could you hear that, Paul?
Dependent.
Uh-huh. There's Kleenex, if you like, right next to you.
Parented.
Wow.
Parented. Distrusted. afraid. Punished.
Out of that place, can you try to identify with Paul what you need to not feel that way? And speak that to Paul.
Trust. All of it, just a little
I
trust.
can't hear you.
Just a little bit of trust.
Paul, you might want to ask some questions here. It's a good time to ask questions to understand what that means.
I'm not all the way there yet.
Okay,
I'm still a little bit upset.
understandable.
When she said how she feels, it feels to me like, I mean, I'm almost. It feels like an attack.
Mm.
She asked me how I felt in that situation. Not all the time. And when that happens, when we're at that point, that's how I feel.
You know, I feel like a monster sometimes. When you feel like that, I feel like I'm the cause of that. And so that's when you'll notice me pull completely away and say, I do not care what you do, go.
Mm.
Yeah, but you don't mean that.
I know that, but that's the way I deal with it. Because in that moment, I don't want to feel like I'm a monster, even though some of the things I may have done. My stomach's been growling too.
So, sounds like you swing from one extreme to the other to some degree, right? Okay, so let's work on alternatives. This is a very difficult situation. This isn't easy. That's why you're struggling with it. Because, Paul, you are feeling vulnerable right now. You're trying to say that you want to be more included in the decisions Chantel is making about her time, especially her free time, right? Because that would mean what to you? If you were included, what would that mean?
That you cared about me. That you remember me. I grew up most of my childhood spending time with myself. And no one else seemed like they even noticed I existed. And it always felt like they forgot about me. And I was right there with them.
Who are you talking about, Paul?
My parents. When I think of my childhood, I think of an empty house filled with people. It was such a big house. It felt so alone. In a lot of ways, I feel like my childhood didn't really start until I was in the 5th grade when my godmom came into my life. She acknowledged everything about me. She made a big deal about everything that I did. She used to make me these really big lunches to go to school just so everyone would notice that I had the biggest lunch in the cafeteria. And she would put a note, she would drop notes in my lunch. I really thank God that she was part of my life when she came into my life. Because up until then, I didn't feel like I was just floating. See what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to just go there in an argument.
And so, in this place, which is right under the surface, what is it that you're really needing from Chantel? Can you share that with her?
I think I said it already. I just need you to remember me and include me.
Be as concrete as you can. That's a good start, but what does that look like?
I think if you I don't know. I think if you reassured me that you were that we were gonna spend some time together or something. When you go places, I don't know, I just feel left out.
Understand how you feel.
I don't want to keep you from your friends. I know you need that. And Wesleyan has actually been a good friend to you. Mainly because she helps you to figure out me.
Bestest friend in the whole wide world.
What's her name again?
Wesleyan.
And I am a little envious of you, though.
What?
I used to have a best friend, and he passed away.
Yeah, you have two.
Yeah, but you got one.
I have two. Who can?
I have to have two just to make up the one.
Wesley and I have been friends since the 5th grade. And ironically, her and Paul are like female and male counterparts. It's absolutely incredible. And so whenever I don't understand him, I talk to her and she's like, oh, he's just doing it because he needs this. What? It's ridiculous. But I do it and he's fine. It's like, are you serious? And then ironically, she married me. Her husband is a lot like me, so I help her understand him. That's pretty great.
Can you say a little bit more about what you need, Chantel?
It's so funny. I was sitting there thinking the same thing on that wavelength all morning with you. Every question you asked, I was thinking it.
Good, good.
I think that I need to know that's how you feel. I needed to know that because I thought you just were angry because you didn't want me to go, because you didn't want to be alone. And only from the standpoint of being angry, not from the standpoint of
Being controlling.
needing to
So-
be in charge.
So that actually, that depiction of me, I do not, I mean, in that moment, I realize what I'm doing, or how you're
Perceiving.
perceiving it, and that's when you'll feel me back off and say, I don't care. That's my way of not wanting you to feel
But even
like I'm trying to control you or something.
when we get into it before I go somewhere, when I go, I can't even enjoy myself. I'm down the whole rest of the day unless we're on good terms. Takes away from me. I mean,
Say what you need. That's good, but say what you need.
for you to know that, number one, I will always be back unless something terrible happens. It's the farthest thing from my mind ever, even when I'm in the midst of extreme hatred. And that
You're actually more pleasant when you do go and get that time.
I need that time away to rejuvenate, to remind me of what I have, to help me appreciate. When I go with my friends, and just some of my single friends, when we all get together, it's like, thank God I'm not single, or thank God my husband is this way. Or even if it's like, wow, your husband does that, it makes you think of what qualities I appreciate about you, because then we all talk like that. It's like, oh, my
What I
husband does
wouldn't
this.
approve of is you guys going to a nudie bar.
We've been together 18 years. I've never